This true story comes to me from a good friend and fellow screenwriter, Guy Crawford. He told me this tale of Josephine, and I couldn't wait to share it with all of you. This episode features our very talented actor, Doug Harrison, portraying the character, Gary, a man retelling the true ghost story. And now, I bring to you Josephine. It's Mardi Gras, New Orleans, 2015. Night has fallen and the streets are filled with people and littered with parade debris of sexy necklaces, confetti, and broken masks. The partiers, many drunk, sing and walk down the street hanging onto each other in a loving but lurid hold. Laughter fills the evening, bounding above the live music.
A good friend of mine, Daphne, was fascinated by John Lafitte, the many sightings of his ghost and the missing treasures. Many folks spent hours searching on plantations, Barataria Bay, and other locations in search of the riches sure enough to make their hellhole of a life voluminous. That has yet to come to pass. Just like my friend, many searched, and many died. She never lived to see her passion fulfilled.
Revelers join a band as it moves along the city street. They wave their white napkins above their heads, dancing a drunken dance they think is timeless.
Not long after her passing, it was late Mardi Gras. The streets were filled. We spent this day in the warehouse for the Bacchus Bash. Then after the parade passed, we made our way to the French Quarter and Jean Lafitte's blacksmith shop.
A little further down Bourbon Street sits Jean Lafitte Blacksmith Shop. It's a colorful spot filled with history. The exterior of this small shop, now a bar, is a rare extant example of a briquette entrée poteau construction, and small tables that dot the street bring the eye to look at its full glory in the small gabled roof. It has a long, illustrious history of hauntings. Being a historic landmark, one can only imagine the souls that have seeped into its floorboards.
It is considered one of the most haunted places in the city. And in NOLA, if you place a real estate ad, you must declare if your dwelling is haunted or not. This bar is haunted. No need for an ad. Everyone knows this.
A young, edgy man in his late 20s sits on a small chair by the bar, playing a guitar and singing by the candlelight. It's the only means of lighting in this bar, and the light throws haunting shadows across the patrons' faces. Locals sit amongst the tourists, sharing their pain in a glass with their best friend, who is doing the same. This is the time Gary enters the bar. He is joined by his friends. Gary has a passion for this city and its citizens, and the many hauntings NOLA is known for.
It was late by the time we made our way in and claimed a table by the door. The misty breeze flowing by had the old bricks sweating. Jazz and blues floated in from the bands jamming up and down the street, fighting sounds over the guitar player. Ice was clinking in glass tumblers, and voices of multiple conversations competed in the air. Suddenly, it was like the air had been sucked out of the room. The candles flickered, and the ambient noises seemed to fall away.
A presence begins to fill the air, floating on the heat of the night, wrapping around the patrons like a hot blanket of death.
An absolutely stunning Creole woman walked through the doors, and as she passed our table, her hand grazed my shoulder. It definitely got my attention. We all heard her say, "We are not always on the salt." We turned to watch her, and she was gone.
It's a stunning moment. The men look around in awe and collectively gasp.
There was no way she went out the door, and the place is too small for her to hide. In that moment, the candles stopped flickering, and the street noise returned. We all looked at each other with a holy shit expression. She wasn't some floating specter. but as real as you or I. And she touched me in more ways than one.
The men search the bar for a glimpse of her, but she's nowhere to be found, her ghost having come in contact with them, only to leave them lingering for her chilling touch, the flicker of a candle, or a glimpse of what lies beyond the realm.
Now it has been said that John Lafitte himself haunts this bar, and that Josephine was his paramour, possibly even one who sailed the high seas with him. All I know is what I saw, and I think I've glimpsed her over the years. It's always fleeting.
Gary reaches for his beer, refreshes himself, and smiles.
In places where the past and the present collide on every corner and somehow manage the perfect combination of history, commerce, and sin, if you throw a stick here, you'll hit a ghost story. In NOLA, we don't ask if ghosts are real.
I hope you enjoyed that true ghost story, and we have many more of those coming your way. I'd also like to mention the upcoming release of my newest award-winning screenplay, Otacte. It is probably one of my most terrifying stories to date. I have friends that asked to read the screenplay, and they told me that they had to put it down at night because it was too scary for them to continue reading. Also, if you have any real ghost stories that you would like to hear on my show, look me up on Twitter and get in touch. It's Tracy Jules, and that is at TRACIEJULES. Have a great night, and we'll see you back here soon.